Hello, Patreon family. How are we doing today? Anthony here.
And James here. Today we're going to do Finger Guns. We're going to do a bonus review for Patreon only on the new film RENFIELD, which we saw a couple weeks ago. We went to an early screening at the Alamo Draft House in downtown LA, which was awesome. Saw Nick Cage in person. He introduced the film. And that was the best part of the experience, I'll say, because this movie, I don't know what they were thinking. I'm not sure where they were going with this. I was pretty disappointed. I was excited going in, seeing Nick Cage take on Dracula.
Sure.
Like, it's a match made in heaven. Like, of course, and every time he's on screen, he's magnificent. In the prosthetics and in the design of the character were phenomenal.
He is great as Dracula.
But RENFIELD overall, this I think is one of the worst movies I've seen of the year. Not to be mean, but just to be frank, I did not really have that great of a time watching this film, and I thought the story was very lame and lackluster and kind of cliche driven, and Hollywood's kind of obsessed with these, taking the safe space corporate culture and putting that in their films. So RENFIELD's in therapy, he's got PTSD, he's insecure, he's got an overbearing partner.
He's a victim, even though he kills people.
And I feel like this could have been so much better if they just took it seriously and went like dark humor, a dark drama with humor. Rated R still, because I think they could have gone a way better route with like making RENFIELD a confident, suave, sexy swindler of human beings for Dracula versus constantly in therapy and having no confidence and turning him into a superhero and with superpowers. And I understand that superheroes are so hot and every studio is trying to incorporate in pretty much every story they're doing. But RENFIELD and Dracula, I think it could have been just done so much better. Keeping it the classical themes of the characters would have been phenomenal.
Because if RENFIELD's a villain like he is he really is a villainous character in the book and then in the adaptations, you can have Van Helsing come in as the hero. You can have vampire hunters come in as the heroes. Van Helsing is part of the novel. So I think there was a big misstep, especially with kind of not understanding the RENFIELD character. So in the book and in the first film, RENFIELD, he's not the guy that makes the business deal with Dracula. That's a different guy named Harkin. I'm trying to remember his name, Hackett or Harkin. He actually travels to Dracula in Romania to make the deal. He's the one who's married with a kid and then ends up being taken prisoner by Dracula. So they combined that character with RENFIELD. RENFIELD ended up being an assistant to Dracula later on in the second half of the novel. But he's a maniacal, out of his mind, insane person. And he did eat bugs, but he also ate animals. But he didn't get powers. So I think that maybe the filmmakers misinterpreted with the wording of the book. In the book, he when he eats a bug or he eats an animal, he believes he's absorbing the life force through their blood. So he believes that he's getting life power. He's not actually, doesn't have any powers or anything. He's just a human being who's insane. And he thinks that the blood of animals, provides life force for him. He's just totally nuts. It has nothing to do with superpowers. He does not get any powers from Dracula, nothing. Dracula actually uses him as a way to get to Mina, one of the characters of the book, and helps him. RENFIELD helps him in his escapades of getting these victims. And so there's a complete, I never understood. Like, I was watching the movie, I'm like, why does he have superpowers? I think they made.
I don't think they misinterpreted. I think they just wanted to have a character with superpowers. That's all it is.
I guess
it's
so,
not a misinterpretation.
But also, RENFIELD, he's not a good guy, and so in the movie, to make him like a victim and make him someone who's like being dominated by a superior, like someone else, I was like, this is kind of dumb because like. How many people have died because of RENFIELD? How many people has he brought to Dracula? Yes, he's doing bad. He's only sending bad people to Dracula, but does anyone really deserve to die? Ultimately, that's a really weird question to ask. And how many lives have been taken because of RENFIELD? And now we're acting like he's the hero. I found the whole approach really bizarre. I wasn't sure about the therapy route walking in with the trailer. I wasn't really sold on the trailer. And then ultimately, for me, it didn't work for the character. Nick Cage did a very good job of Dracula, although it's not anything we hadn't seen before. And as a big fan of the Bram Stoker book and a couple of the adaptations, I found this to be just like a really disappointing, underwhelming reworking of the story. I understand you want to contemporize it and do something new with it. I'm all for that, but for me, nothing about this film really worked. And then Awkwafina, who I think is a great actress, her entire character, the writing of that character, it honestly felt like I was watching an episode of Navy NCIS. I felt like it was like, and I felt like it was NCIS New Orleans. You know what I mean?
It felt like that. A lot
That's
of the
what it
production
felt like.
design too. Yeah.
Yeah, the production design, all of the cops, every cop or FBI agent in that movie, the way they talk was so ridiculous, and it felt like an episode of a TV show. And I was just like taken out of it every time we went back to law enforcement, and I was like, is this really happening? And then the gangsters and their whole family, and I was like, what is like, who wrote this? I was like, how did this get greenlit? I was halfway in the movie. I was just like, I ended up like kind of looking downwards, like, I can't believe this is really happening.
It felt like network TV, a lot of the sequences. And the production design was odd because the color schemes they were going for, I think they were obviously heavily influenced by John Wick, which a lot of movies are with their color schemes, and Nicholas Winding Refn, and the neon colors, even things like in Euphoria, reds, greens, and blues everywhere. And red and green are prevalent throughout this entire film in almost every sequence and every scene, except for Renfield's weird apartments.
Yeah.
My God. What a weird apartment. Now, for some reason, there is green light flashing, or not flashing, just shining on almost every scene and every character. I get it for like Dracula's lair, having green and red as an eerie production design. Sure. He's in this rundown buildings. Whatever, it works.
Sure.
But the therapy session, there's just green light everywhere.
The auditorium.
What is going on with that?
That green light was really throwing me off in the auditorium. Like, I was like, this green light doesn't make any sense. Why not just make the color palette green and just color correct the entire image green? That would look better.
So it's just out of place production design elements with having green everywhere, and green and red. And it was written by Ryan Ridley based on an original idea by Robert Kirkman, starring obviously Nicholas Hoult as Renfield, Nick Cage as Dracula, Awkwafina as Rebecca, and Ben Schwartz as Tedward Lobo. I love Ben Schwartz, and I thought he was great for the first couple scenes, but the character, I was just like, this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
This crime family owns every cop in the city. It's just,
like every cop.
Like this, like I understand, shut your brain off and have fun. You couldn't shut your brain off to the extent to have fun with this for me, in my opinion. And it follows Renfield basically as he is stuck as the slave essentially to Dracula to find victims, but he doesn't want to do it anymore, and he wants to stand up for himself and live a better life, a more positive life, and be a good person. Which also, like, does he have immortality after he cuts ties with Dracula? Like, what's going to happen now? Mm-hmm. So he's trying to distance himself from Dracula and live his own life and get out of this toxic relationship, because toxic relationship is such a huge theme in Hollywood films, obviously, and in culture, toxicity. So obviously they're trying to lump that in there. So yeah. I think on paper this idea might have worked, like when in your mind, in the writer's room,
as a pitch,
yes. But then making a film out of it, I don't think it worked at all. And clearly the box office is showing that. It's been out for over a week now. $11 million at the box office. That's
globally
pretty bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's competing with some heavy hitters, but nothing huge came out last week. Super Mario Bros. Came out the week before.
But even, it's still the audience.
A kid's movie.
The audience for Super Mario Bros. Is not the audience for this.
Yeah, this is rated R. Also, not releasing it in October, which means they knew this was going to track bad. I think they knew it was not going to perform well. Otherwise, how do you not release a Dracula movie in spooky season?
Yeah, and it was competing with The Pope's Exorcist, which got terrible reviews not terrible, but lukewarm reviews, and it just looked like another repetitive exorcism movie. And Pope's Exorcist actually beat Renfield at the opening weekend box office, and it just had Russell Crowe behind it in the same Exorcist thing we have in this movie. We have three big stars, and Ben Schwartz is a big star too, although you didn't even see him in the trailer, I don't think. And it lost to The Pope's Exorcist, and Pope's Exorcist had a third of the budget. Less than a third of the budget. I think a fourth of the budget.
It was $18 million budget versus $65 million for Dracula plus marketing. So this is probably a $100 million movie.
Yeah. So and also what's odd is Universal also has two Dracula movies coming out in the next year. They just released a trailer for. There's a new Dracula movie. Did you see the trailer?
No, I don't think so.
It's about
the ship,
the ship one. And it's during that portion of the book where it's Dracula's journey on the ship in the box. And so they're making a whole movie out of that journey. And then there's another Dracula movie coming out after that. So Universal is just like hitting the gas on Dracula right now. And it's kind of disappointing because when you look at The Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss, I thought it was really a wonderful film. It's one of my favorite movies of the last 5 years. And what a terrific reimagining of Universal Monster in such a brilliant way. And then when you compare it to this, it's the complete opposite. Like, because I love the reimaginings. They didn't have to make the old Dracula story. The Invisible Man, I love just as much as the original film. It's just they both work so well. But when I look at this, I'm like, it doesn't even come close to even like scratching the surface of the original Dracula movie and a couple of the adaptations, like Coppola's adaptation in the 90s. And I just found the film to be very disappointing, underwhelming. I had a couple of funny moments here and there. I laughed a couple of times.
Some good gore.
Yeah, the gore was good. I liked the initial Dracula look where he's completely his face has been destroyed and he's trying to come back to full strength, and so he just looks. He's like his skin's all torn apart, his flesh is raw. I liked that. It was cool, and he slowly was getting back to normal. And then some of the gore and a couple of fight sequences was really good, really fun. But for me, the fight choreography in this film got a little ridiculous. Especially that big outdoor apartment fight.
Rebecca was Black Widow.
Yeah, legit. I was like, what's going on? Is this a John Wick
That's
movie?
Awkwafina's character.
Yeah, I was like, is this a John Wick movie? And then the final battle when Renfield showed up with Rebecca, and then like 7 of Dracula's new new assistants were there, and all their eyes glow. I was like, oh my god, what is this? And then and then I was like so confused of like why Dracula was trying to like seduce Rebecca at the end in the office. Remember?
She's pure.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on here? And so I found the whole story confusing, odd, out of place, and nothing really worked for me. Honestly, I really wanted to like this movie, but I just was not a fan of it.
The biggest problem is clearly is showcased in the trailer, which was why I had such mixed anticipation for this film, because obviously who doesn't want to see Nick Cage as Dracula?
For sure.
Hell yeah, sign me the hell up. And like I said, I loved every second of him as Dracula, and I wish should have just made the whole movie him as Dracula. But having Nicholas Hoult, who I think is such a terrific and underrated actor, and he hasn't had his big leading role yet, and this was almost it, and having him in a role like this, I feel bad for him because I don't think there's really anything to like about the character, and I don't know who's greenlighting these ideas and these themes for these major productions that they think that audiences are going to love, because I guess the last 4 years in culture, that's what people really want is, mental health is so important and therapies are really important, which they are. That is an important thing.
There's a boom of it right now in Hollywood.
Which is great that people are taking care of mental health and dealing with emotional issues as well as any kind of issue. That's terrific news. But to have all of your lead characters, and specifically a lot of your lead male characters, just having all these emotional issues in therapy, it's really
getting redundant,
not enticing for anyone to see.
It's getting repetitive.
I don't think anyone really was enticed to see this film. That's clear from the box office.
Yeah.
This was a very heavily marketed movie. Posters and trailers everywhere on social media platforms, in person. Like, everyone knew this movie was coming out. This was a widely known movie. This was Universal's big spring movie, basically.
It's their horror movie of the year. This is a big of the spring.
So everyone knew this movie was coming out. $11 million in a week at the box office global for a Universal Dracula movie, and it's clearly because I don't think anyone was interested in this movie based off the trailer, where Renfield is in therapy and constantly in the whole trailer he's in therapy, and I don't really want to see a Renfield character just having so many emotional problems and being in therapy, and that being such, like you said, a redundant theme in so many new movies the last 4 or 5 years. Again, mental health is so important, but you don't have to put it in every single movie that you make, and also you don't have to put superpowers in every single movie you make. Of course, Dracula has otherworldly strength. He can fly, he's very powerful, he can shapeshift. Of course, have that in there, but then just to make Renfield just Superman for a short period of time.
Superpowered John Wick, basically.
Yeah, basically. It's just like, we really got to have superpower beings in this again. Mm-hmm. So it's really disappointing. When I first heard the news of the movie, we saw the set photos last year, I was super excited about Dracula Nick Cage in costume as Dracula. Sign me up. But this movie was so underwhelming, and the Renfield Dracula storyline, it was fine, but it was the cops storyline.
All the law
Rebecca's
enforcement
storyline. That writing.
Her sister.
The writing with her and her sister. It was just, it felt like network TV. It really did.
Especially when they like run into each other in the hallway and the way they talk to each other. I was like, is this Law and Order? No offense to Law and Order, but I was like,
there's a place for Law and Order.
What is going on? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is the movie. This is it. And I was just like, I mean, I was very disappointed. I was hoping for more. I was hoping it would be funny. There were a couple good jokes, like I gotta say. There were a couple good laughs, but otherwise, I found it to just be a very boring and weird movie. Ultimately,
I don't know how this should have been a no-brainer, knock out of the park. Renfield, make him fucking James Bond, suave, sexy, charming, luring people, luring men and women with his charm into Dracula's lair.
Yeah.
Maybe he has
that's the opening scene.
And then he has a change of heart, but make it dark and rated R, and you can still have tons of dark humor in there.
Yeah.
How is that not the movie? That would be incredible. That sounds so easy to make and like a no-brainer. Nicholas Hoult.
You have Van Helsing come in.
You could
Van Helsing. You can have Van Helsing as a lead character in this movie. He's in the book. He's in the book.
Hoult is such a handsome, eloquent, charming actor, and then just to like waste him in this kind of character of Renfield was just he's just like hunched over, and I don't love weak characters like this. Honestly, I want to see Nicholas Hoult as a strong Renfield.
Yeah, I mean there could have been so much potential if you had, because Van Helsing and there's actually a crew of guys of people that go after Dracula and end up taking him out. It's a crew, and so you could have had that in this movie if it would be actually a more faithful adaptation. And so you could have had Renfield as being with Dracula as like this duo of like an unstoppable duo of a force, and then you have Van Helsing and his people, and they could be going after, like, that could be the conflict of the film. And it's just like, I just found it to be really, really like bizarre the direction they took it in.
I don't even know who their audience was for this film. You know, it wasn't for like, I feel like it wasn't for horror fans. Was it for?
They would have turned up.
I guess it was for Gen Z.
I think it was a Gen Z pitch.
I think it's what they think that the audience wants, because this clearly, I hope they learned from this last week from seeing the box office that this is not what audiences want. This movie has bad word of mouth. No one's talking about it. We are so grateful to like work with Universal and go to the event and everything. That's why we're doing this review on Patreon. But
we don't want them to hear this.
It was disappointing, man, and I was just flabbergasted halfway through the film that this is Universal's Dracula movie.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. I was just like you said, seeing Nicolas Cage in person was the best part of the night, and that, man, it was awesome. That was great. It was awesome.
And Chris McKay, I think the Tomorrow War is awesome. It's a fucking awesome movie. Lego movie is awesome too. So
yeah,
this was a miss.
He did Lego Batman, I think.
Yeah, Lego Batman. This was a huge miss, I think, by Universal, and they're gonna definitely lose a lot of money on this movie because it made it was $8.5 million its opening weekend, and it's already down to making less than $700,000 a day domestic box office, which is not good news, which means this weekend coming up will probably make $3 million.
Yeah, probably two or three
maybe.
Yeah.
$100 million movie.
Everyone who's interested in horror is going to be seeing the Evil Dead rise.
This will probably lose $80 million at least.
Yeah, I don't see it even hitting $30 million, honestly.
I don't think so either. Yeah, you're right. Evil Dead comes out.
Nobody's going to want to see. No, everybody who likes horror is going to be seeing Evil Dead
How do you not make a Dracula movie like that? That's the Dracula movie. You make that. That's what people want, because Evil Dead's gonna destroy the box office.
Evil Dead's tracking extremely well.
50 mil, I bet, opening weekend.
I'm saying 40 to 50 at least, and I'm guessing it could hit 300 million globally. So
that's what people want.
It's gonna be a massive hit.
How do you not make a Dracula movie like that?
Yeah,
that dark, blood, evil. Instead of green
scares,
green lights.
There were no elements of horror in this movie.
Yeah, I wasn't scared at all.
There was no elements of horror.
It was really just a comedy.
Yeah,
an action comedy,
an unfunny action comedy.
It was honestly like an MCU movie.
Yeah,
it felt like an MCU movie.
It felt like an MCU TV show.
And obviously, I think the problem was this was greenlit 4 years ago, probably 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'm betting this was greenlit in 2019, 2020.
Probably.
Yeah. I bet this was greenlit in 2020. Is my guess.
And they filmed it last year, but man, I don't know what they were thinking with this movie. It's Dracula.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it a 2.5 on Letterboxd, a 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd give it the same.
Yeah, 5 out.
But honestly,
skip it.
And zero rewatch value to this movie. I'll never watch it again.
Agreed.
You know,
agreed.
It's too bad, but hopefully we can do some more stuff with Universal this year. Like Oppenheimer, we kind of hinted at them. Like, if you guys want to do anything for Oppenheimer, let us know, because
we will be there.
We'll be there for that.
But anyways, we got a great horror movie coming out this weekend, and then there's still a lot of great horror coming out the rest of the year. So there's a lot to look forward to. I can't wait to see Evil Dead rise. And then in terms of Universal monster movies, we'll see going forward what they got up their sleeves. But right now, this is kind of a downer for sure.
Well, Universal horror movies, they're obviously next year is going to be Jordan Peele's next film in Christmas 2024, as well as Megan 2.0 will be the year after that.
Great.
And they got some other stuff coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Evil Dead Rise, speaking of that, I'm sure a lot of you know that, but we're going to go see that this Saturday on the 22nd, and we're getting a crew together. So we're going to go to the AMC Burbank 16 in Glendale, California. We're going to the 5:20 p.m. showing at that theater. It's AMC Laser at the AMC 16. And we're just getting a crew together. It's not like an event or anything. Come hang if you want and buy tickets and meet us there. We'll have there's 15 people so far going, signing up. Let me check the current
I'm checking right now
of the seating, because I'm sure there's still plenty of seats for this movie. So again,
my Wi-Fi's not working. Can you get it?
We're going to the 5:20 AMC 16 Burbank showing. Laser AMC. Yeah, there's still a ton of seats, so feel free to come meet us at Evil Dead Rise on Saturday, 5:20 in Los Angeles, AMC Burbank 16, 5:20 showing. Just hang out with us before and after. We'll have some fun.
It's gonna be a blast.
Yeah, so we'll be seeing that this weekend.
I can't wait. But anyways,
Allora.
I know that a couple of you actually did enjoy the film. I saw some of you on Letterboxd give it 3.5 stars. So I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. Just it wasn't for us.
Wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, but anyways, thank you so much again, like always, for being patrons and supporting us so that we can do this full time. It means the world to us. We have a lot of great episodes coming your way this weekend and this week, so stay tuned for all those.
Take care, everybody.